Hello and welcome to America First. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Ali-asghar Abadi. This show uses comedy to explore overseas solutions to the problems that America is still dealing with. Because it turns out there's a lot we can learn from other countries if we don't ban their people or their apps, especially when those apps can be used for diplomacy.
North Korea, you better watch out. We're getting ready to start launching rednecks at you. Yeehaw!
Who knew US policy towards North Korea could be summed up in just one TikTok? Now, on today's show, we're exploring how childcare works in France, a country known for white bread, white faces, and white flags. Now, to learn more about the French approach to childcare, we'll be joined later in the show by the Consul General of France in New York. But first, a look at American childcare, a position that is still vacant in the White House. Childcare costs in the US are out of control, as this local news report shows.
What do you do? Where do you go for help?
Sharon Yarbrough says the state of child care in Tennessee is a growing problem.
I'm a grandmother of 5.
She has one daughter and steps in to assist with her grandkids whenever she can.
Of course, you still need a little help sometimes.
As a mom and a grandparent, she believes the search for affordable child care is a burden.
Some parents work just to pay child care, and a lot of parents don't go to work because they can't afford the child care. It's too expensive.
She's not entirely wrong. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services says child care should cost no more than 7% of a family's income.
That's right. Childcare should cost no more than 7% of income, but in practice, it costs up to 33%. In 28 states, childcare costs average $9,500 per year. And in extreme cases, childcare costs way more. For example, Wakanda Tyler pays a nanny $55,000 per year to take care of her infant son in New York. Now, high childcare costs forces many parents out of work, which cost the US $57 billion in lost productivity and earnings, as the number of parents who had to leave or change jobs reached 2 million. And 2 million is also the number of kids in the Duggar family. Yes, there are 2 million Duggars out there, including you. Yes, you watching right now, you're a Duggar, and you have more siblings than the son of a sperm donor. Congratulations, Thanksgiving is going to be really wild this year. But quitting the workforce to provide childcare isn't an option for many Americans, and with childcare costs so high, Americans are having fewer children. The 2018 birth rate was the lowest in 32 years. 32 years! An age known by Leo as too old. Here's a fun fact about Leo. He owns luxury real estate all over the world, a $100,000 car, this rare drawing which cost $9 million, and a private island. But he has no kids because he can't afford childcare. Fixing childcare is something there is actually bipartisan consensus on. 75% of voters support increased congressional funding for childcare. Elizabeth Warren campaigned on universal childcare in the primary, and Ivanka Trump described the current setup as fundamentally broken. Since 1997, the average cost of weekly care has doubled, but wages have only increased 1%. Childcare is also fundamentally broken because many workers are subject to exploitation as they're undocumented immigrants. For example, Edith Mendoza, a Filipino immigrant, spends 80 hours per week caring for 4 children for about $4 an hour, which is $4 more than Tucker Carlson should be paid on Fox News, because the only thing Tucker Carlson is good for is modeling this confused look. He's confused because Serena Williams married a white guy and the world didn't explode. Now, quality, affordable childcare has long-term impact. A US Census Bureau study that followed 2 million children for 5 years found that in subsidized care, children were less likely to repeat a year of school than kids whose care was provided by family or babysitters. And this is a topic that conservative and liberal economists agree upon. They agree that government investment in childcare and better paid parental leave would improve the US provision of childcare. Which brings us to France, a country that also experienced a falling birth rate many years ago, i.e., there were fewer French babies. Now, how do you identify a French baby? It's easy. They emerge from the womb with a cigarette in one hand and a croissant in the other. The baby is required to stub its cigarette on the croissant to prove that it is in fact French. In fact, answering yes to the question, did you stub a cigarette on a croissant at birth, is how you get a French passport. Now in France, employers offered paid maternity leave at 100% pay up to $3,000 per month for 16 weeks for the first 2 children and 26 weeks for a third child. Now in some families, the third child is known as the plastic one. But at least Chloe chose a good surgeon, which is more than can be said for Simon Cowell. I mean, his waxwork looks more real than him. Hey Simon, if you're gonna get plastic surgery, why stop at the face? Get those boobs taken out too. French mothers also receive means-tested family allowance every month from the government. Additional allowances are available for poorer families until their child is 3, or for families with more than 3 kids. In fact, French families with more than 3 kids get discounts on family entertainment activities, like going to the cinema, kite running, or placing berets on frogs. His name is Pierre, and he's the French patron saint for rudeness. You look good, Pierre. See, he doesn't respond because Pierre refuses to speak English, but if he did want to talk, he would tell you that every parent in France can access high-quality, affordable childcare. Women who work full-time can enroll kids aged 3 months to 3 years in a crèche, which is a French daycare, not a type of pancake. 80% of crèche funding comes from local authorities, with the remainder coming from parents who pay up to $5 per hour. Crèches are open for 11 hours per day and only closed for a month over the summer, and they can be found in every French city, much like racism. Now, these government-run facilities have high standards. At least half the staff have a specialized diploma in childcare, and each crèche has a pediatrician and a child psychologist on call. There are several different types of crèche in France. There's the crèche parentale, which are managed by a parent association, the crèche d'entreprise, which businesses provide for their employees, and the crèche familiale, whereby families hire a professional nanny to care for multiple infants and then split the costs. Now, these nannies are licensed by the French government. All it takes to get a license from the French government is to join Baguette Fight Club. In fact, the first rule of Baguette Fight Club is to talk about it so you can get a nanny license from the French government. And by the way, Baguette Fight Club is very much a real thing. That was excellent. It's Fight Club meets Pitch Perfect meets Congress, in that there's a lot of talk but no action. Now, parents in France pay nanny's salary with the help of tax credits, and the government pays for nanny's health and retirement benefits. And after graduating from the crèche system, French infants aged 3 to 6 enroll in the École maternelle, which is France's universal preschool system. This isn't just daycare. Kids are taught hard and soft skills too, including specific French skills like teaching children how to stub cigarettes on croissants. Although École maternelle aren't mandatory, they have a 95% enrollment rate because they provide childcare that is free, high quality, and far from Prince Andrew. So, what's the impact of the French approach to childcare? Well, female labor force participation is much higher in France than the US. And this boosts economic output. France enjoys the highest birth rate in Europe, 1.9 births per woman, which is close to the 2.1 births required to keep a population stable. Conversely, in the US, the birth rate has declined to 1.7, which signals a shrinking population. Because in France, parents don't have to choose between career and childcare. The French have figured out how to provide high-quality, affordable care for everyone. If only they could also figure out what customer service is.